listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
Yesterday, we created a numeric constant field, which is 20. This is numeric constant field I created yesterday. And then increment date, basically increment and decrement date. We have function to add number of days, number of years, number of months in one date field. And you can also subtract. You can add or subtract number of days, number of years, number of months in a date field using this increment and decrement calculated field. And then we were talking about the the date difference calculated field. Let's turn that. We know to create a date difference calculated field in each and every calculated field, three things are really important. Whenever you create calculated field and start creating calculated field, then three things are the most important things. That is, the calculated field name. We know. Yesterday we were discussing about the syntax of the calculated field name, how exactly we should be using naming convention for calculated field. You give the calculated field name, then you give the business object in which you want to create that calculated field. And then the third thing is you have to specify the functions which you want to use in that calculated field. Three things will be important in each and every calculated field. But apart from that, there will be other options in calculated field. For example, there are three tabs here. The first tab is calculation. In calculation tab, you are going to define the logic for that calculated field. Then you will be having additional information. In additional information, you are going to describe the calculated field. What is the purpose of that calculated field? What categorization you want for that calculated field? Where exactly that calculated field is used? That will be stored in this additional information. And then the third tab. When you will start creating calculated field, then you will not be able to see this third tab where used. Because you are creating calculated field. When you are creating the calculated field, obviously that has not been used anywhere yet in the system. Once you create calculated field and once you use that calculated field in any integration or in any report or in any business validation, then this tab will appear and this tab will let you know where exactly this calculated field has been used. Why do we have this where used tab in calculated field? Let's say you know you have got some requirements. There is one report in the system. There are, let's say, two reports in the system which is using same calculated field. And someone has raised concern over one of the report. And you know that person is saying the value of this calculated field is not coming correctly. Now you know you check the calculated field. You understood like there are some logical issues in this calculated field. This calculated field is not, populating correct value. Now you want to change the logic of this calculated field. Before you change anything in the existing object, you need to understand the impact of that change in the system. If you all see this, if this calculated fields has been created in the system and has been used at 10 places, whenever you change the calculation logic, all the 10 places will be impacted, right? If one person has raised concern over one report, then it could be you need to change the field itself in that report. Maybe the other 9 places, there is no impact. For other 9 places, correct value is being populated. It seems like the logic is not fitting in this custom report. That's why we know you have to see if. Anyways, whenever you get any requirement to change anything in the system, the first thing you're going to do is to find the impact analysis. The impact analysis will be like when you will make change in the logic. What are all the places going to be impacted in the system? That is what you need to check. That is why in calculated field, you will be having one tab where you, in this way we use it will give you all the places where this calculated field has been used. Now I created, to create a date difference calculated field, you have to enter the start date, end date. Then, in whatever numbers you want to return the value, whether you want to find the difference in number of years, you want to find the difference in number of months, in number of days, hours, minutes, seconds. All these things you need to configure. And then you will be able to find the data. Basically, I have added this calculated field in this report. Let me run this report and then we'll visualize. Now here, if you can see, this is the hire date and this is our date of birth. These calculated fields are hire date minus date of birth. Hire date minus date of birth. This is giving the date differences. Now let's see if there is any difference. Let me do in months. Here in this calculated field in date difference, you will be able to find the differences between 2 days in, whatever format you need in years, months, days. And there will be one additional options here. That additional option is ignore lower level date components. This ignore lower level date components means if you do not check the checkbox. If you do not get this checkbox, then what it will do is if the difference is 1 year 10 months, then it will ignore the 10 months. It will give you just 1 month. 1 year as a difference. If you do not get this checkbox. If you check this checkbox, then if the difference is 1 year 10 months, then it will give you 2 years. This is that, this is the difference, when you check this checkbox or when you do not check this checkbox. This ignore. Lower level date component is something you need to use very wisely based on the business requirements. Let me show you how we can get the difference. I am using two calculated fields in the report. Both are date difference calculated field, and both are actually, calculating the difference between, date of birth and hire date. In one of the calculated field, I have unchecked ignore lower level date components. And in another calculated field, I have checked ignore lower level date components. Now let's see the differences. I am running the report again. See here, if you see, when I unchecked ignore lower level date components, it is, giving one value less, right? Because it is ignoring. Let's say the difference is 40 years, 9 months. This calculated field is ignoring those 9 months. And this calculated field is adjusting those 9 months as a 1 year. Kind of rounding off. It's not a round off thing. This is kind of, rounding off. This will be the difference between, this will be the difference when you check and uncheck this ignore lower level date components. Any question here? Are you guys clear? Like what is this difference calculated field? Ganesh, like if it's like 40 years 1 month, then 1 month become like a 41, right? There is no difference between 1 to 12. I mean that will be your activity to explore. Like if there is, in rounding off generally, what happens if let's say something is, let's say 14.5. We know we don't have to. 41, right? Anything is, which is greater than 0.5. We round up to 1. And if anything is less than 0.5, we just do the 40. I mean, we just ignore that when we do round off. Right. Here, that is something you need to explore. You just say, like what value it is accepting. I should ignore. That lower level date components. Even that. But even I have not tried. But that is something Who is that? Michelini. I'm good. I'm good. Find the differences between date of birth and hire date. And let's say there is one worker in the system who has not updated her date of birth. In this case, the hire date will not be able to subtract anything from. In this case, it will generate some error. Let's say you have, some business have asked you to create that report. You created that report. You did not check this return on error, but when business is running that report, he is getting some kind of either. That is not a good impression. Like, you have built something And when you are delivering that thing to the request that it is giving you, basically always you can check. Always. You will check this return on error that you know when anyone is running that report, he or she will not get any kind of errors. Blank value is still accepted. They will reach out to you and say, like, this report is, giving blank value. Can you please check? That is still a valid thing. But if someone is a business is coming to you, like, you gave me one report, that report is not working. That is giving the errors and all. But that is something not accepted. That is something is kind of embarrassing. Basically, you always try to check this. Return on error. Now, the next calculated field which we have is format. I'm creating a calculated field where I'll format hire date in some other format. Here in the report, if you see this hire rate is coming as 100 or 2000. First and 2000. I want to change this format in this way. Basically, right now it is coming as and I want to change the format of the data as solely 20. I need to change the format. See there is no field in the system which is having this format. To get this format, you need to create a calculated field. And this happens, many times in a business will come to you or the vendors will come to you and they will say, like, the format of date which you're sending is not correct. They want date in some different format. Here you can use calculated field to change the format of the date. Let me create that calculated field. This is where we spend most of the time. And expect oh, put 5 by. Yes, that's fine. That's name. But it's now when you will create format date calculated field, you will get again. The three things are important. That is something you will get on the pop-up screen only. Now, here when you design the logic. Here, you have two fields, behind this calculated function. One is there, each date. Will you want to change the format? I want to change the format of hired. I have defined, I just want to modify the format of hired. Now, in which format? I want to make change. There are some default format. If you want to extract the month, the day of the year, quarter year month, these are the daily work. This is something you need to explore when you will create this calculated field. Not, but try to explore a couple of options here. You can extract. Here you can extract month. You can extract all these formats. These are the defined formats. But I don't want to use any of such format. I want to use my own format, which is something not available here. I do not see any format which is saying a one chance, 20, 20, 20, 2000. There is no format. I want to define my own format. Here to define your own format, there is one option, Format Mask. You just select the Format Mask and it will ask you to define your own format. See, another field has been populated now. When I selected Format Mask, another field, the Format Mask, has been populated. Now, how exactly you can, how exactly you will know, what exactly you should give here, that the date will be generated in that particular format. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to remember anything. You just keep your mask on this text box and it will give you all the guidance. If if you get this one single Y, it will give the year. If you give double Y, it will give you the last 2 visits of the year. If you are giving Y, Y, then it will give the complete year. If you want to extract the month, or if you want to change the format month, then if you will give double name, it will give you 08 the month. If you will give triple name, then it will give you the 3 characters of the month. For example, I guess for others, there is AOC for September. It is, and if you give 4M, then it will give the complete name of the month. And similarly to use you can use if you just have to, keep your most here in this text box. And here, they will give you the instruction. They will give you the guidance and, they will give you the examples as well. Whatever format you want to create, you will be able to create. Now let's say I want to read date, then the name of the month in 3 characters, and then now to paste this and this calculated field in the report. Which one I created? The first one. I'm running this report again. Here, if you see the hire date, the original format of the file, it is 11-2000. But here the formatted hire date looks like one giant one. You know 1 then 2000. This is what this format date does in format date. Basically, there are two uses. The one use is you can change the format of the date. The other use is you can extract the months. You can extract the year. You can extract the days from any dates as well. I mean, I use format mask, but apart from format mask, there were many other options, right? And there it was asking, if you want to choose a year date, year, day or month. When you will choose a year, then it will only extract, a year from the date. The one uses to change the format of the dates the other uses. If you want to extract month, year, day from the date, you will be able to use this format date. Any question? The next function is substring. The very first activity in calculated field which I gave you, that was the substring. I asked you to create the security, that's securities. That's secure to design the security key. You were required to find the substring from the first name. You had to find the first two characters from the first name, then the first two characters from the last name. And then only you will be able to create that security key. Now let's see how exactly substring functions work. Again, I'm creating a calculated field. Let us see how exactly substring function is designed. I'm just giving the name CF substring. First two characters of first name on worker. Workout is the subject, then you need to select the substring. Now in substring function, here we know there are a couple of options. First of all, you need to enter the field in which you want to apply the substring. Here I want to apply the substring on the first. First name, and in this person, what kind of substring I want. If let's say there are some things like this one. Hello, what? There is one thing like this one. Here you have, a hyphen in between the two strings. Now, if you want to, if you want something before this hyphen or after this hyphen, you can use some daily meter. If there is any direct that you can just define, what is the daily meter? Here you can give the hyphen. If there is no hyphen, then you need to create a global calculated field. But you can give that. Let's say let's say if there's a comma, there should be something. And there you can select, whether you want the backward one, the backward string, or you want the forward string. This is something you can configure. Now let's say if you want. If you don't want to find the substring, using any delimiter and say you want a fixed position, a string, for example, the first name, let's say because the name is hello world. The name is hello world. You want to extract the first three characters of this string, this hello world string. Then what you can do is you will be having a couple of options here. See here, there is one after a delimiter. Then there is a before delimiter. Then in between two delimiters, then fixed position. You need to select these options very wisely based on your requirement. Here, if I need to find the substring between two particular positions, unless the initial three characters or the last three characters, what you can use is you can use the fixed position. In this first fixed position, when you will use the fixed position, it will ask you the starting position from where you want to start. Here, in this string, what happened? This each holds the first position, the whole second position, L holds third position. This is how each and every character holds position. Here, if you want to get the initial three characters, you need to start in it to set the starting character position as 1. And then you need to provide how much characters you want. Here, if I give the starting position as 1, and the length which I need is 3. When I give 3, it was automatically checked. Earlier it was automatically checked, but when I entered 3 it will be unchecked, because now we are not going till the end of the text field. We are just going up to 3 places. And then you will be having one option, remove leading and trailing spaces. Basically, when you will find the substring, then automatically this calculated field will remove the extra spaces. If there are any spaces, in the beginning of the string, or if there are any spaces after the string, automatically this calculated field will remove that leading and trailing spaces. Now if I click on copy this, that's some report edit. I'll always try to create. Almost all these are simple, calculated. What I would recommend is try to create calculated first, then add all those calculated fields in the report in one go. And then you try to analyze, because the tenant is slow. If you just keep editing this report, it will take a long time. You create calculated fields for Then add all those calculated fields together in the report and test. That will save your time. Now here I have created the substring. Here, if you see, the first name is Steve. In this and the first report, the first name is Steve. And the first initial, you know the initial 3 characters, as is TE, and see I have TE. Here you know the 3-character name of the first name. It's same at the ratio in the ratio. We are getting Tia. Basically here in this calculated field, if you see, you know we have got this, the first 3 characters of the first name. This is how we are going to create the substring calculated field. Defense. You know, if you want to get value report delimiter, if you want to get values after delimiter, you can design in your own way. The rest of the options you know you need to explore. You just explore and you know. Just let me know if you face any issues. I mean, you won't face any kind of issues there. You know, it's a simple build. But again, you know, if you face anything, you know we can discuss. Any question in the substring calculated field? Any? Ganesh, all these calculator fields are like it's a report, specific, right? No. See report specific. See when you use this task, create calculated. This is a system-wide calculator. To create a report specific calculator, you need to go from the report here, from the related action, and then you will create a calculator. This is a calculator for report from here. If you create the calculator field, that will be report specific calculator. Don't get confused. You know, if I am using this calculator, all these calculator fields in this custom report, that doesn't mean all those are reports. Why am I adding all this space in this report? The reason is I want to taste those calculated fields. Custom report is the best thing to taste all these calculated fields. But even as a business object, that's why I'm like, none of the even up in also the worker as a business object. Sorry, someone is at my door. Thank you. What I was saying, you were asking, I mean, I am creating all the calculated fields on worker business objects. That's not the case. The thing is, you know, whenever you need to create a calculator field, you need to create calculated. You are going to create calculated field on any business object. Here I am working in. You know, I am working on this report. Details are extracted from the work or business object. I am working with the fields which are coming from worker business object. That is why I am using worker business object. Let's say, you know, if you are independent also, there is some relationship. If you want to work, if you want to create fields, on those fields you can use dependent business object. And I think, you know, just after a couple of fields, you know, when we will talk about the evaluate expression, you know, when we will talk about the exact thing, the lens, and the exact multiple instance. Then, you know, there we will discuss about multiple business objects. I mean, you know, one calculated field will require multiple calculated field logics. And all those calculated fields will be created on multiple business objects. The main purpose of the business object is to define the relationship. Here I am creating everything on the worker because all these details are relevant to the worker. If I need to get something from the options, then I'll create, calculated field of the options in a business object. That is not the reason. That's I don't get confused from that. If I'm using the worker business, I would say it was specific. See report. Specific fields are the fields which will only be used in the report. And how exactly you can create? You can create using the related action of the report. You will be able to create when you type here in the search for create calculated field. You are creating a system-wide calculated fields. And this system-wide calculated fields can be used anywhere in the system. You can use that calculated field in the report, in the integration, in the scheduling, in the business process, everywhere in the system. Wherever that business object comes, in which you are creating the calculator. In like whatever we created that calculated field rate. If sometimes the business object is different and the scenario is same, we can use that calculated field over there. See the main funder. Whenever you work on, in Workday, whenever you work in any places, the first and most important thing is the business object. See in this report, let's say in this report, if you are, extracting everything from the worker business object. And let's say there is another business object expense line. Another business of expense line. That expense line is not related to worker. And you are creating calculated field on expense line business object. You will not be able to use that expense line calculated field on the worker business object. Wherever that business object is referred, you will be able to use that new calculated field. Wherever worker business object is referred, you will be able to use all the calculated fields which has been created on worker business object. You're telling like the calculated fields are stored in the system. But I can use that calculated field which is related to the worker business object. I can use in that only, not in the other one. No. Calculated fields are not stored in the system. See, the calculated field is, see, calculated fields are just a value, just a logic, which you're defining. It doesn't store any values. When you use that calculated field anywhere in the system, let's say, for example, custom report, or the integration, when you will run that custom report or that integration, then that calculated field will, calculate, do the calculations internally and generate the values. But it's related to all the business object, which is like worker business object only, not the other business object. Only is related to worker business object only, Shalini. That's what I'm telling. Like if it's a report, specific means if the report only single report, specific that report calculated field, right? If the calculated field is report specific, that will be used in that report only. But if you are creating this calculated field, for example, see this many. Got it. What we send it to, that would show the values of the specific report. Sorry, the calculate. That's what I'm trying to say. Basically, let's say this is one calculated field which I have created on business of worker, business object. I have, this one other report, which is also on worker business object. I am using this calculated field in this custom report. And this is giving me value like this. Like this, there will be many other reports in the system which is referring worker business object. Wherever we know all the reports, all. Whatever number of reports which has been created on worker business object, you will be able to use this calculated field in all those custom reports. I mean, wherever this worker business object comes, you will be able to use all the calculated field which has been created on worker business object. Similarly, let's not use worker business object now anymore. Let's create calculated field on dependent business object. Wherever that dependent business object is getting referred, the calculated field can be used in all those places. Not a good thing. I mean, if you're still, I get confused in the calculated field in between the reports as we can, system wide. Now then, just try to explore a bit more and then, we can discuss the confusion. That's fine. The next calculated field which we have is convert x to number. See if convert x to number. Yesterday we defined one numeric constant 2024. Let's convert that 24 numeric constant into text. And let's create this field on global business object. We can directly create text constant in this case, but I'm just showing like now how can we create this. Convert x to number. Oh, this is text to number. Now let's say you have a constant field. Let's say here in the format we created one date format. Right? This is the format. I'm using this field. This is the format date. If you see this format, that calculated field, and if you see the icon here, this before the name of the calculated field, see there is T. That means when we are using format date function, the output is returned as a text value. The value which is with this calculated field is returning is a text value. Text data type right. Sorry, text data type right. Data type. This is not a numeric. If I extract, for example, here, if I extract only here, let's say if I extract only here, that will also be a text, not a number. Here, if this sheet of just extracting the year, now again, this is a text field. If I run this report, that will be here only. That will give you the text value only. Now, if you want to convert this text to a number, you cannot add text to a number, right? If you want to add two numbers, you need to convert that value which is in text right now. You need to convert that text into a number and then you will be able to do the arithmetic calculations. Here, if you need to change that the text type value in the numeric type, then you will be having one function, convert text to number. Just click on this, just select this function. Convert text to number, click on. And then here the text field. I have already created one calculated field. This is calculated field. Let me use this calculated field here only. I think business objectives wrongly choose. That one is global and this one is. Actually, that calculated field is not global. And what takes a number? Now again, which one? The first one. Based on users look, and we know based on users look, means C, Somewhere we use dot as a separator. Somewhere we use, comma as a separator. For example, currency things ending 1000. You can just mention them based on users. It will give the format. Wherever user is located. And in that the user will be able to see the correct value. For example, in India, if the format is different in the US, if the format is different, then you will be able to see based on your profile. See, here we are using the same profile. Every one of us is using the same profile. There is just one time. Let's say we are working in different time zones. There, my profile is configured based in India. Your profile is configured based in US. In those cases, you will be able to see different format. I will be able to see different format. And you can define your own format as well. If you want to give the period, if you want to give the comma, you can use that. I'm just using based on users, local, then returns 0 on either. I don't want any errors. Now, you know that text bill has been converted into number. When you will add this field in the report, then you won't see any difference. This value will also give the same thing. This value will also give the same thing, but the difference is in data type. This value is returning the text type. We know, yet this value is returning the numeric type of you. All good or any question in here? Shall any of you know? All good. Now next I believe it will be have is excellent. We'll go with one more, calculate it in that we'll wrap up for today and we'll continue tomorrow. There are 32 functions. We're not going to discuss all the functions, but we know we are going to discuss almost 22 functions. Functions. Every day we are going to discuss these things. And that's fine. Now the next function is not excellent. Now here in the customer report, I have used first name, last name. Let us just try to find the number of characters that have been used in the last name. If the last name is wrong, then the number of the characters. Use history. Basically, we call that as a text line. It's the list. Create a text line that you're looking again to create calculated field. Then see a text line. Last name on worker. Well then, here text line. There you give the field name. There is just one option here. The field name. Last name click. This in this report, when you get this, it is. I mean, you might have been getting this. All the time when you are saving the report, you can just see this yellow. These are just alert. These are not ears. First of all, and you can click on this, this yellow, pop up and you will be able to see the errors. All these errors are related to this XML alias name. What about the recommend is both they recommend us to enter XM alias name up to 16 characters. If you enter any XL alias name, then 16 characters, what they think, that will increase the size of the output of the report. When this report can be used as well. When you increase the Emily alias name more than 60 characters, it leaves some performance issues and also it leaves some issues with the output file. Generally, there will not be any kind of issues, to be honest. I have not seen any kind of issues, but longer name is not required until and unless you need to be. Just try to be, Try to, enter short name, but that short name should be understandable. If you think like that short name is not understandable, then you need to enter the kind of description of that field. Just ignore these things. Click. Now run. Here, this is the last name. See the number of characters in the last name. Here the Morgan is having 6 characters in the last name. This is giving you the 6 side 3. Serrano 7, Santiago 8, Jen. Basically, this is actually calculating the length of the last name, the length of the number of characters used in the last name. This is what we call as text length function calculated. This one is also simple. Now the next calculated fields are, let us discuss, a couple of more calculated fields. Yesterday we discussed about the numeric constant calculated field and create a text constant calculated field as well. To create a text constant calculated field, you can use the 8calc. See, let's say I want to create a text constant calculated field on global business object. And then here the function is text. Text constant click. Now give the text constant as anything, whatever you would like to click. Then you can use this field in the report. Let's say any somewhere here that field has been created on global business object. That means you can use that field in any business object. Apart from global business object, if you are using any business object, that those fields will be restricted to that business object. But when you are creating field, when you are creating calculated field on global business object, that means that can be referred in any business object. See Ganesh. You know this is a text constant field and which is returning Ganesha for each and every row. This is what we call as text length. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@uptalk.com.